So how many times the accounting is the unsung heroes of a lot of things that go on in companies, and they're just not as recognized for it. So many people, like I mentioned before, they are tenured. They've been in the company a long, long time. And the biggest part of making an implementation successful is the morale of the organization. The morale of a specific department can tank an implementation. I've seen it happen before. Now that I've highlighted the kind of negative side of not getting your accounting department involved in this, I want to start moving towards how can we get them more involved and what are the plus sides of this, and let's look into those. When we think about communication, a lot of times it's, hey, I'm just going to inform this department we're doing this, and then there's no other communication to it and people are kind of left in the dark. But establishing regular communication as you're going through a transformation project with your accounting department is imperative in so many ways. And it's making sure that you have a representative even of your accounting department that is part of the core team when selecting the software that your company is going to be using. And then having that person be the one that continually communicates back and forth to their department, answering questions along the way, bringing items up that people might be fearful about or have additional questions about, and then they're bringing that to the core team and being able to share as a representative of the accounting department. And so having regular communication is a big thing. Maybe it's a monthly email that goes out. Maybe it's a meeting where you all sit together in one room. That will be for your company to determine based on how your accounting department receives communication. Some just like an email, others are like, yes, I would like to get into the room. Let's talk about this. Or maybe it's just a combination of both of those. But having that regular communication is really necessary when you're driving these types of projects. Next one we're looking at is documenting and streamlining your processes. How important is it to have all of these things put together in preparation to move to a new software solution? It's very important also to be able to draw those all out, share with other departments as well, so they know where those key handoffs are and then kind of what the rest of the process looks like. And give you a great example of this, again, going back to the example I gave just a bit ago on the negative side of things. But this side is when we were putting together all of these processes. And again, this company has multiple locations, languages, currencies, etc. There were very specific handoff points that would happen. And we also needed to document as well what happens if an item gets returned and it gets returned to our office in London instead of our office in Hong Kong. Well, there's two different processes for returning those and how it went back into inventory and how inventory would be replenished, because then they would ship it back to the actual source of the warehouse of where it came from. And then they're also looking at those intercompany transactions. What do those processes look like? They had some very unique processes that were in there. And then they also realized that as we were drawing all of these out, there were extra processes and steps that didn't need to be a part of it. And so it was a good exercise to just see, hey, you know what? We're doing some extra steps that we don't need to do, because we now know that this department over here is doing a couple of those steps. And if we just talk to them, then we've minimized this for both departments within the organization. And so that was just a really good exercise to get done, and why I think it's so important to have those drawn out of when you move to your implementation of a new software, you have this architecture of what your department looks like, and it helps the vendor as they're designing and putting this new system into place to then incorporate some of these, if not all of these processes that you have put together beforehand. So how do you invest in technology? This is such an important part when having the accounting department involved in it and understanding what those implementation needs are based on the requirements that should have been considered from the accounting department. Are there various modules in this software that are specific to accounting? Does the out of the box meet those needs, or do you need to look at some more advanced modules when it comes to reporting or forecasting, etc., that are key parts to how accounting works? And so making sure that accounting is truly invested in this technology is going to be really a main part of it. You don't want the accounting department to continually working on spreadsheets and they didn't get that upgrade to QuickBooks, or they're on QuickBooks and the rest of the company is going to an ERP and they decided not to buy the financials for some crazy reason, and they're stuck in QuickBooks doing all these extra steps, and they still can't get done what they need to get done. And so making sure that your accounting department is a part of this, letting them invest in it, and really speaking to what they need to be able to help this technology implementation as an overall really help the business grow and move to that future state. We always need to recognize the people that are contributing to this. How many times are you at a company meeting and they're like, hey, look at these sales guys, they made these records for this month, here's an award for them, some type of bonus or whatnot, and you're in the back just eating a piece of cake and you're like, yes, this is great, this is fantastic, nobody knows that I helped them get here. So how many times the accounting is the unsung heroes of a lot of things that go on in companies, and they're just not as recognized for it. I understand that there's so many times where I've done things in the past. I'm like, hey, do you see me? Do you see what I've done? And they're like, oh yeah, that was great. But so-and-so over here did a fantastic. And then they just go on about it. So being able to really understand that accounting is a critical piece to it, and, telling the accounting department as well, celebrating the wins that they have done, whether it's, hey, we redid our whole chart of accounts and now it really helps with reporting. Celebrate that. I know they sound like little minor details that they do in their sleep, but they are really big things and how they contribute to the overall growth of the company, especially when you're looking at like AR. Are our receivables out of control? No, accounting department has this under control. We're getting receivables in 15 to 30 days. It's awesome because they have a process in place. And so making sure that these unsung heroes are seen and rewarded is it's just nice to have, and it helps boost the morale inside the accounting department. So speaking about boosting morale, let's look at who those change makers are when it comes to the implementation. So many people, like I mentioned before, they are tenured, they've been in the company a long time, and the biggest part of making an implementation successful is the morale of the organization. The morale of a specific department can tank an implementation. I've seen it happen before. And so you want to be able to keep that strong, and people, not wanting to stick their head in the sand, not want to run the other way or poison the water hole that everybody's drinking of because they're upset about something. And so being able to influence the accounting team as well as other departments as well as to why we're going through this process, and keeping up that overall excitement for it, even though it's going to get hard along the way, but helping them see, hey, this is what the finished goal is. And a lot of times that helps. There's going to be times where, yeah, you do feel burned out. It's hard, as I've spoken about a handful of times, but morale, it can be the sinking ship, it can sink your ship to this implementation. So just to wrap this all up of talking about how the accounting department gets neglected so many times. We often are the unsung heroes. We are the ones kind of in the back, making sure that all the pieces are held together. Money's coming in, money's going out in the right way. And so I just want to, take this time to let you know that, yes, you are seen. You're not forgotten. I understand it. And just what key roles that you play when selecting a technology. And so just as a way to, get all of this out there and more people to see it, I encourage you to subscribe. I love hearing from fellow accountants and accounting departments on how you're doing things. I encourage you, comment below, call out some unsung heroes in your own department. I would love to just congratulate them, as well as a way for us to continually just comment and have conversation around what things are going on in your company when it comes to finding the best technology for your accounting department and the overall company.